Pranam to Vedji, Swamiji, and everyone present. And thank you so much, Sanjayji, for inviting me over. I greet all my fellow Hindus, brothers and sisters, especially in North America, on this auspicious month of October, when a lot of festivals follow. You asked me to talk about the last 1,000 years. And earlier we were talking about the sheer flow of Hindu identity, civilization, culture through time. When you think, you wonder how far back have we come from? Our antiquity is yet to be decided. It is work in progress. We ourselves are groping about it because we have decided to read the history and the narrative of our tormentors or their proxies. Likewise, the story of our retreat in the last 1,000 years is also handed down to us by the same tormentors and their proxies. The reason why we ask ourselves this question as to who are we, where are we from, and what has happened to us is because even today, there's not a single university or institution of any reckoning where Hindu studies are being pursued, funded, and large number of bright students offering it as a discipline to pursue in their lives. I was delighted to visit the School of Hindu Studies in Oxford, in a very small, modest building, but at least there is one here in UK. Not a single university of any reckoning in India. What a shame. And today, when we fight the battle of narratives, it is this narrative that is handed down to us and we struggle with, we fumble around, and we try to find truth, try to find fragments of evidence that could tell us as to what happened. It is almost 1,310 years when the brutal assault started, 711 Common Era to be precise, when Muhammad bin Qasim, an Arab, almost a teenager at that time, leading a band of marauders and barbarians, invaded Sindh, and after repeated invasions, dislodged Raja Dahir and established the first foothold. There have been struggles, there have been valiant fights, and it took almost 480, say 5 centuries, when Delhi fell in 1192 to Muhammad Ghori from Prithviraj Chauhan. We have tales and fables. We are yet to know properly or tell our progeny what happened. And then we are told about successive dynasties culminating into Mughals, and finally a colonial onslaught. We were not only harmed materially, physically, geographically, the entire society had to suffer the trauma, the cultural genocide, which seeped down to even our spiritual traditions. In the true spirit of jihad, it was total, all-encompassing, comprehensive annihilation that any civilization could sustain. The good news is we are the only civilization that survived that assault. Every other civilization that faced this assault got obliterated. Persian civilization, Sumerian, Babylonian, Egyptian, you name it, and they couldn't survive. Some of them couldn't even survive a few decades, and we survived successive centuries of this assault. There is some innate strength that we possess. And after that, we had debilitating colonial rule, and all of them incessantly decided to dismantle our very institutions that sustained us, our gurukuls. Can you imagine, in 1192, Delhi fell, and Nalanda, which is more than 1,000 kilometers away, fell in 1198, 6 years later. The proxy historians tell us that, these marauders and barbarians used to destroy your temples because you stored your wealth there, as if being prosperous and wealthy was a sin, and keeping your wealth in temples was foolish. But Nalanda's archives and libraries had no gold. They were just manuscripts. The monks there bore no arms. They created a pyramid of skulls out of those monks, and they burnt our libraries that smoldered for months. So this was not about riches alone. It was the attack on the very heart of our civilization. Each one of our large institutions that we are today proud of, as they existed thousands, hundreds of years ago, was systematically destroyed. And what was left of decentralized system that we were, our economy, our politics, our administration, our culture was truly decentralized, down to village level. And whatever was left of it, Robert Clive went after it, systematically banning gurukuls. Entire society, which was 97, 98% literate when Europe was literate in even single digits, wasn't even literate in single digits, lived in caves. We were brought down. We were destroyed. They didn't come here because they were on a tourism trip or a pilgrimage. They came here because we were rich, we were prosperous, and they plundered us. When they left us, our share in global economy was less than 2%. Compared to when they came here, it was more than a quarter. When they left, when the colonialists left, our average age expectancy, life expectancy, was 27 years. We were struck by famines, by pandemics, epidemics, grinding poverty, malnutrition. This is how they left us, a prosperous country which was attracting people from all over the world, travelers from all over the world, seekers, students, teachers from all over the world. I'll give you an example. Kashmir was the epitome of this civilization. If we are proud of our Sanskrit heritage and its entire body of knowledge traditions, almost all of them had their origins fountainhead in Kashmir. Today, I, as a representative of the Kashmiri Hindu community, am sad to tell you, the last Kashmiri scholar, authentic Kashmiri scholar, called Pandit Neelkant Gurtu, passed away in 2008. In my community, which was the teacher of Sanskrit to the rest of India, where scholars and teachers and seekers came from all over, we, the inheritors of the mantle of Acharya Abhinav Gupta, have no Sanskrit scholarship left amongst us. I must again tell you that we have, all Hindus have something called Griha Sutra. Griha Sutras are the rituals, the practices that keep your tradition, how you live as a Hindu, your living tradition. I wasn't aware of the fact that Our Graha Sutras, Logakshi Graha Sutra, Kathak Shakha. The last practitioner of these Graha Sutras, Pandit Kashinath Handu, we lost him in 2012. My community has lost a tradition of these rituals and these practices. What are these Graha Sutras? Every day, 5 Mahayagnas we do. And these yagnas are not those rituals. This is part of our routine. For example, the most important yagna is Rishi Yagna, which means we need to read scriptures and connect with the knowledge traditions every day. Another is Deva Yagna. We propitiate our gods and express our gratitude for sustaining us. We do Pitra Yagna, which means we pay respect to our parents, our forefathers, the ones who are living and the ones who are no more. We do Manu Yagna, we do other Yagna. So 5 of these traditions no longer practiced in my community. And this is a story of several communities across the country. I come back to the fact that it's a battle of narratives today if we have to rejuvenate, if we need to survive and thrive again. And we have turned the corner. We've turned the corner. The 1,000 years of this curse seems to be ending. We just need to energize ourselves, rediscover our roots, and turn the corner. Start with the battle of narratives. Pick up the threads, pick up the facts, build a strong argument, and go out and fight. We shall win. Thank you so much.